Hello and welcome to Film Companion South. In this episode, we're going to be talking about The Family Man, the Amazon Prime series created and directed in the first season by Raj and DK. So let's talk first about the first season, the excellent first season that showed how even a very familiar tried and tested tale can be elevated through genius level writing. It's basically the same old cops and robbers template with Manoj Bajpayee and his team going after or rather playing a rather deadly cat and mouse game with a bunch of Islamic extremists. Even the family man being a special agent we've seen in films like True Lies, but right from the beginning, right from the very first episode of the first season, there was the feeling that there's something different happening here. It's not just that the actors are great, but it's that they've been chosen with great care. The casting directors deserve a huge mention here. The first season opens in Kochi, and the people we first meet, they seem authentically Malayali. They seem to walk right out of a Malayalam film. Manoj Bajpayee is reliably marvelous, but from the very first episode, I was fascinated by the character played by Priyamani. She's a Tamilian married to the Manoj Bajpayee character, and she has a very, very complex personality. She knows her husband's secret, but she's also tired of making all the sacrifices in the house all the time. They have 2 kids. She wants to change jobs. She ends up being attracted to a colleague. In short, she has her own special life. Priyamani is so good that you are reminded of the young girl who showed such promise in Parthiviran, which we saw many years ago. The biggest takeaway for me for season 1 is how tragically underused performers like Priyamani can now find a new lease of life through OTT shows, and they can finally get the careers that they deserve. And there are some actors that are newer, at least new to me. One of them is Sharib Hashmi, who's easily the discovery of the show. He plays JK, the Manoj Bajpayee character's best friend. He has a very tricky job to do because Manoj Bajpayee is so serious. JK has the job of doing the balancing act. He has to make the wisecracks. He has to say, lighten up, let's do this, let's do that. But at the same time, he's as skilled as Manoj Bajpayee. So it's not like he's some joker hanging around. Along with Raj and DK, the head writer is Suman Kumar, and they do a marvelous job of detailing every single character, whether it is Manoj Bajpayee's sweet-faced blackmailing son, whether it's his daughter who's teenaged and she's getting to be woke. I was especially captivated by a nurse who takes care of a captured terrorist named Musa. Now, this nurse, it's almost like without saying anything, we sense a loneliness around her. It's as if her life is so lonely that when she meets a man who speaks the language, her language, Malayalam, this is almost like something that draws her together because she's lonely as well. It is never explicitly stated in the series, but that feeling just comes through. And plot-wise, the series hurtles along like a giant boulder that's been pushed off a cliff and that's gathering speed by the second and getting more dangerous and dangerous by the second. The only thing that did not work for me in season 1 is the cliffhanger, the ending. I know there are a lot of opinions about this, but the lack of closure seemed to me a bit of a gimmick, and I did not think it served any real narrative purpose. When we pick up the story again in season 2, we are given the information of what happened in bits and pieces. That is what happened during that cliffhanger. We're given that information in bits and pieces, and somehow the information that we get, it doesn't seem worth that giant build up. But that apart, season 2 is even better than season 1, and I don't know how they managed it. Here, Raj and DK share directing duties with Supan Verma, and the scope is much bigger. The first series was about India versus Pakistan. Now there is an additional angle of Sri Lankan Tamil militants. We are left with some of the villains that survived the first series, and their target now is no less than the PM of India herself. Once again, it's a female actor that impresses, and here it's Samantha Akkineni because, again, Manoj Bajpayee is fantastic, but he's fantastic in so many films and he gets so many opportunities, so his fantasticness is never in doubt, right? He's almost always brilliant. But here, you see Samantha Akkineni and you realize, oh my god, our heroines are so tragically underused in screen. Looking at Samantha's super strong presence and super convincing action scenes, you wonder the same thing that you wondered about Priyamani from episode 1. Why are these heroines who are capable of so much given so little to do in the scheme of things in the larger screen? Why are they only given parts with womanly traits? Besides the larger part, the smaller relationships are also built beautifully. Take the relationship that builds between, when I say relationship, I don't necessarily mean romantic relationship, but just like friendship or whatever. Take the relationship that builds between JK and Umayal, who's played by Devadarshini. Now, this woman is a cop, and I just had this scene in my head where Devadarshini looked at the script and literally wept in joy because she's not playing an akka or an anni, but a tough cop who smokes and drinks and just is a badass person who's capable of taking down and tackling bad people. And here too, we have these lovely little touches. For instance, she tells JK that her name is pronounced Umayal, and he says he knows because he's Maharashtrian and the L sound is there in Marathi too. Another superb sub-relationship is the one that develops between the Samantha character and a man named Sajid. Their common cause, their common beliefs, that's what unites them. And you sense not romance but a deep respect between the both of them, and you're left with this feeling, are they freedom fighters or are they terrorists? The last two episodes are practically nail biting, and I was very happy that there is no cliffhanger this time. But again, as much as the plot about the Manoj Bajpayee team, the crack team that he assembles and goes after the bad guys that he thinks are the bad guys, or at least the people who are trying to attack India, that keeps going on its own. It's the other side, the human side, the humanity of the series that keeps shining through in every single episode. When Manoj Bajpayee's team accuses the villains of kidnapping a young girl and using her as bait, the villains reply, well, didn't you do the same thing essentially with an old woman? Didn't you use the old woman in the first series as bait? And in how many series have you seen an episode that kind of shows how flawed these men are, in the sense that they're not perfect, right? In the first series, one of the most effective moments was when these guys, as Manoj Bajpayee's team, they went after three young men that they thought were going to assassinate a minister, and we all know how badly that went. Something horrible has happened to his daughter, and yet at even that moment, all the Manoj Bajpayee character can think of is, oh my God, are these terrorists going to win, or am I going to win? Not in the ego sense, but more like, how do I stop this from happening? In real life, we never get to meet these secret agents who guard our country and us, but thanks to this ridiculously amazing series where we get not alpha male characters with guns blazing away, but instead real flawed human beings, thanks to these people, we get to meet at least approximations of them in our living rooms. So that's it about The Family Man. If you like this video, do subscribe to Film Companion South, and see you soon at the movies or on the OTT space.